Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Those of you who are watching me on Tony's show, we're going to be continuing that conversation. I'll be asking a lot of questions, answering whatever comments I can, trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with this country right now. I don't know about you, but I'm having a real hard time being proud of being an American at the moment. Insane. Well, here we are, guys. Welcome back. You could say last night was not good, ungood, bad, kind of sucked. Yeah, haven't felt like that since 2016. Same fat orange pincushion is the cause. Honestly, I'm somewhat flabbergasted. I'm sure all of you are too. All we can do is keep fighting. I will never give up. It's not in my nature, What I have to do that Rocky line, like, it's not how many times you get hit, it's how many times you can get hit and move forward. That's my try to do Sylvester Stallone, and that's honestly the way I feel about life, because we all get hit all the time. The saddest parts for me are that I had to look my two boys in the eyes this morning, who are both in shock, and what is their view of this world now? I don't know, because I don't know what mine would be if I had experienced this at this age. They're both old enough to remember this guy the first time around, and thought we had rid ourselves of him, and that he did all these things, and that we reelected him, and that even certain groups in larger groups reelected him, and that, they know people that voted for him. Makes it really tough. They devalued my wife's rights as a human being in this country, just threw them aside. They don't matter. Not as much as the oligarchy, apparently. Not as much as the lizard brain. Not as much as some fucking loser, annoying, low EQ billionaire named Elon Musk, who just has to have more money. Doesn't matter how many people are starving, or people have homes. Why would that matter to him? His family made their money in apartheid. He came over here as an immigrant, and from what we understand now, worked here illegally. But he'll never pay the price because he's better than all of us. That's the way it works with fascism. It's crazy. And the fact that, again, I haven't seen how many votes are left, so I don't know. We'll be counting, popular vote. But the fact that usually California is counting forever. Maybe some of you can help me out in the comments. Washington State and Oregon, not nearly as big. So I guess usually the differential is so big in California, so maybe there's a chance that she ends up winning the popular vote. So we can say more Americans voted for her, but I don't know if there is. And so this time we have to accept the fact that the worst human being alive, literally probably one of the worst 10 people in this country, and that's being generous. People looked at him. Men with daughters looked at a rapist and said, a serial sexual assaulter, and said, I'm going to vote for that guy. People that have been ripped off by business associates, people they trusted with their money, lawyers who, had power of attorney, looked at a guy that has ripped so many people off, scammed people, and claimed bankruptcy and said, yeah, I'm going to elect that guy. People who've been discriminated against, treated like garbage because of their race, their religion, their background, heard him saying things about their fellow human beings in this country, and often people that look like them, pray like them, speak like them, and said, yeah, that's the guy I want. That's a hard thing to ingest and to live with. And how Democrats can even speak to some of these men, because I don't know how you win somebody over who doesn't have health care, who isn't making enough money to feed their family, who doesn't have family leave if they have a job and their children are sick too fucking bad, and decides to vote for this creature instead. I don't even view Donald Trump as human. He's like this gelatinous Jabba the Hutt. Honestly, I'm not even trying to joke. He's just this big, gelatinous, gross, crude creature in every way you could be. Greed, sloth, envy, anger. Go through all the deadly sins. He's all the horsemen of the apocalypse. He's everything bad. He probably was that pinhead guy from those movies. I don't even remember the name of him. I think a terror. I think one of these. I have a few friends out in Hollywood. I think we need to make some sort of a movie about him, about where he's the creature haunting you at night. But till Tony gets here, why don't I answer some of your questions? Hate wins, or comments from Seven Dogs. Yeah. For those of you who were not on Tony's show, I'll repeat. I mean, what LBJ famously said, right? If you could make the lowest white man feel like he was above the highest black man, you could win his vote. But that goes doubly for misogyny. This was a toxic masculinity play, and I've known for a long time and talked about it, that is, I think, by far the biggest problem in our society. It's not that I don't think racism and others are awful too. But I think you can actually teach people to not be racist. Can you teach them to not be their crazy, competitive, over-competitive, toxic, masculine, selves? I don't know. I don't know if you can do that. And that's what has me most perplexed. I see Tony's here. Maybe he's a toxic male. I'm kidding. He's a male, though.
Toxic AF.
The Ozarks, he's only toxic when he doesn't shower before the show. But the thing is, I wanted to get into with you on your show again, and I was just talking about it. We've seen neo-Nazis come. People can unlearn racism. They can unlearn anti-Semitism. They can unlearn all these things. Do
they unlearn it, or do they learn something different? And they choose.
I mean, it's a good question.
And they choose between those things. Right, because I think the semantics of it is important.
I do. I guess the difference for me here is some of us, all of us who are men, have male instincts. Whether it is sex, whether it is gathering resources for our families, whether these are certain instincts built into us. But some of us know, for whatever reason, are able to control those so that we don't go out of our way to harm other people. And if we do it accidentally and we apologize or whatever. And then there just seem to be a lot of men who are the lowest common denominator. Now, I will say, as somebody who's now 52 and who was once in their 20s and 30s, you do actually mature to a certain degree out of it. There is a reason that Donald Trump was going after young men, specifically,
right,
who are Latino, black, white, because when our brains are less mature, we're even worse in those ways. So yeah, we mature out of it somewhat. And again, there's some evidence that if you're educated, you can get past it. But there always are going to be large groups of young men in our society, and so this is a question. I mean, we were talking all about it on your show, the various problems, the lizard brain that's still there. It can be appealed to, and misplaced, evolution, where people think that any competition, everything's a competition. So some guys coming in just trying to help his family from El Salvador now, but you came in from El Salvador 15 years ago. Well, screw that guy. You're not letting him in. You've been here for longer. You ever see the movie Gangs of New York?
Yeah, I have.
Right?
It's actually a really good movie.
It is. And there's the one with Daniel Day-Lewis. They're British, and of course their big gang, I can't remember the name of it, is based upon hating the Irish, where Liam Neeson is the head of that gang. And that's how they define themselves. Because the Irish had come later, they called themselves the real Americans because they were here first. Sound familiar?
Right. And they were born here, whereas some were not born here.
Right.
They came here, right?
So they were less because of that. And you didn't see any women out there fighting, did you? Cameron Diaz, I believe, gave Leo DiCaprio a nice left hook at some point in that movie, which was cool. But in general, with the knives and the killing and the gangs, it was men. And again, in that way, the Trump campaign was smart about who they targeted. But my question, I guess, just becomes, even if those men age out of that and we can educate them and their brains become more mature, then there's a new group of young men. What the hell do we do with them? Are we not teaching our kids something in school?
I mean, man, don't get me started on that, because I think if we drop the whole, you got to learn algebra and calculus and taught them civics. And I know a lot of people like, Tony, you're talking about taking away math, but folks, I don't know if you saw what happened last night, but the math was the fucking most miserable part about the whole thing. It was, yeah.
Not knowing math would have actually made last night a lot easier.
Right. It would have made it a hell of a lot easier to cope last night. But the fact of the matter remains is that we don't know civics, because again, in the state of Missouri, there are people who went and voted to codify in our state constitution the right for women to have access to abortions in the state of Missouri. They voted for Donald Trump and Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley, who is a senator, who said he definitely will sign and send a national abortion ban to the desk of the president of the United States. And Donald Trump was the only president on the candidate on the ticket that would even consider doing it. So that would even, and he could be talked into it. He says he wouldn't, but he would be talked into it.
He says he wouldn't. Then he says he voted for, he was in favor and voted against the amendment to get rid of the Florida ban. He's whatever. Again, he's a creature. He's an animal. He is a slithering Jabba the Hutt-like creature that reads the room and tries to give everybody exactly what they need, exactly what will lead them to give him money and give him adulation and make him famous and make him important, because that's the only things.
Well, feel those ways. He wants to feel those ways. He doesn't actually want
make
to
him to himself. Yeah,
right.
Because he's got a deep hole.
Right. Yeah.
He's got a deep, but again, clearly some of these other men. I mean, we have to talk about this. I just saw somebody say in the chat, I missed it. That the Jews they know voted because they were anti-Palestine, voted for Trump. Well, they're insane. Guess what? I get to say anything I want about Jews. I have the free Jew pass. So you Jews who did that, how about this? You're morons. You're idiots. You're sheep.
Did Cliff just use the Birdie Jew card? Is that what you did?
I did.
I'm just going to pull it out. I'm going to use it.
If you're somebody Jewish who voted for somebody who said they admired Hitler, you're one of the dumbest motherfucking Jews in the world. Okay? And there were, according to polling, 31% of you. I will say this, that was down. Trump got 32% of the vote, of the Jewish vote. And this is an important statement to make too. I'm sorry, but we have to go through this. He got 32% of the Jewish vote last time, 31% in this time. The share of the Protestant vote, I think, fell from 54 to 49 or something like that. So he fell 5% among Protestants. Catholics, he stayed exactly equal. He fell, as I had predicted. One of the few things I got right. I got to run around and predict. We talked on your show the other day, and I brought up a key group that's better educated and higher income than others, and actually believe in what they say, Mormons. And I told you I thought he'd fallen to 69% in 2020, and polls are showing him at about 64 or so. He might even fall to 60 or below. He fell to 60. He got 60% of the LDS vote. He lost 9 points there.
So you're saying he lost ground on Mormons, and he lost a little bit of ground on Jewish people, but he gained ground on Latino men. He gained ground on black men.
Well, he lost ground on Protestants too. So you have to ask yourself, because we don't know but Latinos for the most part are Catholic. So if he stayed equal Catholic, I think he may have gotten fewer white Catholic votes, but made up for it. I mean, there are other Catholic groups too, so I don't know. But even in and of itself, even we don't know we can't figure out exactly what that was. Winning the Latino male vote by 10%, when you are having comedians on the stage call Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage, when the first thing you ever said when you entered the campaign was that Mexicans were coming to this country and they were rapists. Well, I guess some are good people too. Is insane. What the fuck is wrong with you? And then I'm just going to give you one more. And you've already seen me give the bird to Jews. So please, people, don't act like I'm doing this out of some discrimination or something. 30% of Muslims voted for Donald Trump. It is a head scratcher of So it was 5% in 2020. 600% more Muslims.
Well,
voted for it.
what do you think that shift was? Do you think it was Gaza?
Absolutely. I think it could have been a few other things, but it was almost all Gaza. It was almost all the genocide, Joe, and you support, and it all was lizard brain. I'm sorry. 70% of Muslims used their brains and looked at who the two candidates were like, that's the guy who's good pals with Netanyahu, and we'll let him flatten Gaza and do whatever the hell he wants there. That's the guy that passed a Muslim ban so that Muslims couldn't come in from certain countries. That's the guy that's made all sorts of anti-Muslim remarks. That was the 70%. And then there's 30% whose lizard brains apparently were in control and didn't realize any of that stuff and said, I'm going to vote for the guy who super, super, super hates us over the woman who has tried to sit down with Netanyahu and get him to, and actually forced him at least once or twice to the negotiating table with threats about weaponry, and tried to lessen the carnage there.
Well, and I don't want to blame it on any certain person, and I actually have a little bit of respect for this person I'm about to say, but Mini Hassan made a lot of bad decisions, saying some of the stuff he was saying about Joe Biden and the Joe Biden administration, and the way that he would frame it so that Muslim people in this country saw it the way that he wanted it framed. Now, I will give Mini Hassan credit. To his credit, I did watch a video of him, I believe yesterday or the day before, and he was saying, hey, look, this isn't Joe Biden, it's Kamala Harris, but he was clearly trying to unravel some of the damage that he may have done with that electorate. And it's not, I'm not saying he influenced it, but he certainly don't know. He certainly did not do a way that he would push back. He brought attention to it. I know he was like, hey, everyone, look over here. Muslims are going to vote for Trump because of Joe Biden. But Joe Biden wasn't on the ticket. You know what? Bibi Netanyahu was on the ticket. Bibi Netanyahu was on the ticket. And Bibi Netanyahu is running with Trump just like Elon and just like Dana White and just like
Yep. Oh, Bibi was completely supporting Trump, wanted Trump there. I mean, some of the crap going on behind the scenes, with some of Trump's both some of Trump's thuggery and a whole lot of his corruption was tied to Bibi. I mean, Cambridge Analytica was tied to certain Israeli, I think an Israeli startup originally. Like, again. The Israeli right loves Trump because he will let them bulldoze Gaza. And it's actually, so this isn't just about which I'm really not saying here. I feel horrible. And you should feel sick because what's going to happen is a lot of innocent people in Gaza are going to die now. If you thought
the West Bank is gone too. It's gone.
Yes. Israel will now have not Israel, but Israel under Bibi, just like us under Trump, is an outlaw nation.
Right. So if any of that stuff was important to you and you chose to make a point with your vote, the point that you made was to the people in Gaza and the people in the West Bank. Now, regardless of how you feel about that, that was the signal that you sent. And the reason why is because you have basically allowed Bibi Netanyahu to stay in power for even longer because under American administration with Trump, he is going to capitulate to Bibi Netanyahu and his crooked little ways.
Well, and you gave him a free reign.
Right.
Trump's going to say, do what you will. He won't care. He has absolutely not a care in the world. He's a sociopath, remember. Human life means nothing to him, as it seems to mean nothing to Bibi Netanyahu. So if Bibi wants to go, I do believe Bibi is a murderous, treasonous criminal, and I think that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, particularly Joe Biden, because he was the president, was doing his best to rein him in as best he could. And forget it now. Done. Ukraine, forget it. They're fucked. I mean, one or two friends of mine who are very pro-Ukraine, but who I know, but were like talking about voting for Trump. I don't know what they did in the end. Like I was like, "Are you nuts?" And they try to find all sorts of excuses, and you're just like,
It's just an excuse. That's all it is. It's just an excuse. And we were talking about this earlier about the lizard brain, but it really is this, and I this is where I got it wrong. I underestimated how selfish Americans really are when they get into the voting booth. I really thought from the prior elections, from 2016 to 2020 to 2022, some of these special elections, some of these abortion amendments that were in these states, I believe that people voted, they went to the voting booth and they voted with their vote for other people amongst them, for their communities, for their state, for their family, for people they didn't even fucking know. And they voted for those folks, and they voted for the safety and the security of those folks. And I was wrong about that. I was wrong. That wasn't they were not voting that way. They were voting selfishly. And in 2020, there was a big turnout. And I think they were voting selfishly because they wanted to make sure them and their families did not die because of the pandemic. And they felt like Donald Trump had screwed that up. So they went and they punished him. They just feel like punished him. Right. They punished him at the polls. Yesterday, I think, and I don't know what the numbers are going to be in the end, but I think this morning is like 18 million was what we were down.
I brought that up before you came in here. I brought which is, I do wonder what is going to happen because I don't know, California sometimes takes weeks to count all their votes. There are a lot of votes out there. So I do wonder, A, how much closer we'll get, B, if we do pass in the popular vote. If you remember how many, I don't know how many votes there are out there. I literally don't know. Somebody in there, well, I want to say this first, Dystopian Dragon, thank you. So when does Armageddon start now that America elected the Antichrist? Well, if you watch those Omen movies, you know that a couple things needed to happen. You know, the EU needed to be united in a super socialist state, which they all consider Europe, which they all consider the EU. Needed to happen. Jews need to be back in Israel. They're going to take care of it. I'll probably be forcibly thrown back into Israel, whether I want to be there or not, because we have to all be back there. And there are a few of these things happen. And the Antichrist comes down. There's a battle between good and evil. And of course, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus wins. And then all the good people that have believed in him get raptured up while I get to take all of your stuff. So, for example, Tony's studio there, when he gets raptured up for being a good Christian, I'm just going to move in over there, and I got 2 studios. I can do my show from there, from here. Like, I'm just taking all your shit.
I like that you brought up white. I like that you brought up white Jesus too. By the way, that's great.
Yeah, well, that's what Megyn Kelly said. I mean, she knows about this stuff. Both Santa and Jesus have to be white.
Absolutely,
as far as she's concerned. She's
absolutely,
obviously a very smart person. Yeah, I mean, it just some of the stuff. I mean, again, it boggles the mind, and it does make you wonder. At some point, I mean, again, I have to ask these questions: are we mature enough anymore to have a democracy? The founders asked that question. One of the reasons the Electoral College and some of these things were racist, and they believe in some race-based theories. So let me say quickly, that was awful and horrible, and they're obviously wrong, fucking wrong. They also believed in some things, though, that you needed a certain level of civic knowledge and education to vote. That was a belief. And that was why they put some of these safeguards, they thought, in there, because they were scared that people that once every regular person got the right to vote, we were going to be in serious trouble because they wouldn't be able to manage their own affairs. Well, can we? I don't know that we've proven we can manage our own affairs.
Right.
I don't know. We
did at one point. We did at one point, but in the Trump era, we're proving not to. Someone was asking in the chat about the House race. It's going to be really close because so far, I think Dems have lost 1 seat and Republicans gained 1, but that's not a clear indication of which way it's going to swing. Because right now, the full count that Associated Press has. Now, this is the Associated Press's election desk. It's 184 Dems, 201 Republicans. But there's still a lot of races out there.
There's a lot of races out there. And again, All I can do is I don't know enough.
You think
Besides,
we'll probably know the House? It'll probably be sometime mid next week is when we know what the makeup of the House
I
is gonna be.
think unless it comes down again to some of those California seats, that could make it.
Well, that's true. It depends on what the recounts are too, because some of these races, they're within 1,000 votes, and a lot of those get put into recounts, sometimes 1 or 2 times, depending on how much it wants to be challenged. And I'm sure if there's going to be some Democratic seats that are really close, and it's going to be really close for Dems to hold a majority, they're going to spend the money to do as many recounts as makes sense on the House. Race.
Somebody in their backyard bear, I think it was asked if we lost the Senate. We did indeed lose the Senate.
Yes.
And what was a very difficult for me, I actually have met before numerous times Sherrod Brown, who is the real deal, actually understands working people. And we elected this fraud, Bernie Moreno, here in Ohio, as Ohio decided to join Missouri and no longer being a purplish red state or lean red state. We just went full fucking red. We are gone.
And it looks like
to say about
it looks like the Senate, because there's still a couple.
And we lost Tester too.
Yes, and there's a couple races still out there, I think.
Well, but that guarantees because we lost the West Virginia seat. We're gonna lose that anyhow. Right. So we lost 3 seats.
I'm just trying to figure out the number where we're gonna be at. They're probably gonna be at like 52. 52, maybe 53.
53 maybe.
But it looks like the Michigan seat is pretty. We're good there. It looks like Angus King, which he caucuses with the Democrats, is going to win there. Let's see. Pennsylvania.
Jen James, thanks for the super sticker.
It's really close with Bob Casey, who is an incumbent in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And then we also have a really close race in Nevada as well. So, and then, of course, the crazy thing to me, this is wild, man, that Mark Robinson, they're like, no, he can't be governor. And then like Carrie Lake, no, she can't be senator. And they're like, yeah, we'll make Trump the president. That's cool. Like, what in the fuck? Like, how the fuck did they hate Carrie Lake and Mark Robinson? And what I think is that she's a woman and he's black, right? Like, that's the first place I want to go because
makes it a lot easier.
Well, but they always do this whole, hey, you're doing identity politics, and they do that because that's all they want to do is identity politics. They always want to talk about this stuff. And really, when Democrats are talking about identity, especially when it comes to elections and like demographics, we're just speaking in it as terms of culture and that sort of thing. Of course, Republicans aren't nuanced enough to know that shit because they don't care about those people. They're criminals. They're rapists. Maybe some of them are okay. But I mean, like they want to.
There's some very good ones among them. Right. Yeah.
That's the only explanation I could give for it because Ruben Gallego absolutely whipped Carrie Lake's ass.
I don't, and that's why I need, and I don't know if we'll know for a while, but I must know what the fuck happened in these places. Who were the Ruben Gallego Trump voters? Maybe Latino men. That could explain some of that. I don't know.
Well, right. And that might be the Broligarch thing, right? And I want to go back because the Ruben Gallego Carrie Lake race has not been called, but there's 60% reporting and
they called it on something I was watching last night. Maybe they uncalled it, or I don't know.
AP must have not reported it because they have it unreported here. And you're right, I did see it somewhere else that it was reported, but AP, the map I'm looking at, currently does not. So it might just be a different set of results and a different equation that the election desk for AP is using than rather it would be NBC News or someone else.
Sister Soul, thank you for the gifted Cliff's Edge membership. And then again, that is the thing that interests me the most. If I were going to have any questions as to it's the 18 million fewer votes, if I were to have any questions about whether something hanky went on here, it's the 18 million fewer votes, and it's in some of these places where we just haven't been splitting tickets like this in a while, and where some of the Senate races, our Senate candidates did so well, and our presidential did so much worse. Now, again, there may be a reason for that. That may be the unique animal brain of Donald Trump, who knows how to appeal to people, knows how to con people, who knows how to say what people like, who knows how to give people spectacle. bred in circuses, get up on stage and perform about sharks and batteries. And I would always choose the battery, because I don't want to get bitten by a shark. And I mean, I don't know what they see in him, but there clearly is a charisma there that appeals to people because it's inexplainable to me, inexplicable, because he makes my skin crawl. But Ted Cruz also makes my skin crawl, and probably the only reason Ted Cruz won was because of Donald Trump pulling him over the line. Nobody likes Ted Cruz, but a lot of people, like, in other words, half of us hate Ted Cruz, and the other half of the people who vote for him just kind of put up with him because he votes their politics. Whereas this is obviously half of us hate Donald Trump, but there's this cult that loves him, and I do not fucking get it. But again, maybe I'm not meant to. I have an actual cerebral cortex up above my lizard brain, and
I think it's not just people are dumb, right? Like, and the reason why I say that is because it seems stupid for someone to vote for Trump and for, like, the in Missouri, the amendment to codify abortion for access to women in Missouri. Those are two, like, voting for Josh Hawley and Donald Trump and then voting for that amendment is two different votes. Like, you're at two different ideas. But if you have someone standing in the booth and it's a man and like, ooh, I really like Trump and I like how he goes at people, and all this. And then I like Josh Hawley because he's a man. He wrote a book about it being a man. He wrote a book about being a man. But then you get down to the amendment, like, I have a granddaughter. I have a daughter and a granddaughter, and I've got nieces, and I want to protect them from the crazy fuck that I am by voting for Trump and Josh Hawley. So I'll protect them with this amendment, but I'm going to do this other thing. So it sounds stupid, but they're trying to put together some sort of selfish logic, and I think that is the thing that I missed in this whole thing. Is that Americans, and in particular men and some white women, a lot of white women, but some white women are totally fucking selfish when they vote. They are not voting for the good of all people. They are voting for the good of themselves, whatever that means. Whether you think it's, ridiculous or dumb or, whatever that means, that's what their brain is doing when they get in that voting booth and they're making those decisions.
Yeah, I get it. But it's all how you label it. I call that stupid.
Well, I mean, right. Yeah. Well, right.
Thank you, Joni McGillick, for the $2 super chat. What can we do? I refuse to lay down and do zero. Trust me, Joni. I've said that before. It's not in me to stop fighting. So part of the reason I'm having this conversation is I'm trying to figure out how to have this fight. I mean, I know how to fight. I can go and insult any Republican and enjoy it, right? And rip the shit out of them. But I also, what I'm trying to figure out here is how we win back some of these voters, how we create more Democratic voters, how we don't lose them to something so stupid like this. I'm a diva, I think, just joined as a new member. Thank you. I missed it. I mean, like, what do you do if, again, and jump in, feel free to jump in, and please, in the chat and say it. Like, if you're Puerto Rican and somebody at their Nazi, their tribute to Nazis circa 1939 at their little rally just said that you're on a floating island of garbage, but the guy said, you need to be a real man, and women shouldn't be doing stuff anymore, or whatever. He insulted women a number of times, or something else it is that wins you over. We need to block those others from coming in, even though you came into this country 15 years ago. How do we win someone like that? Is it possible to? Is there a way to bring them back to sanity? I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is the first election in my lifetime where I've sat there and looked, and that's the worst part about it. And I've said to myself, like, is that just it? I mean, because I'm not feeling very proud of being an American right now, I'll tell you. I'm feeling, somebody who's lived in other countries and has friends abroad sending me notes like, what the fuck? I'm pretty embarrassed as a human being, as an American. I think we have proven ourselves that we are not the country we once were. I feel a lot like we are a dying empire, making its last. I mean, read The Fall of Rome and see how that compares to here. It's kind of scary. And it doesn't. Don't think I analyze stuff. I get a little philosophical. It's who I am. But don't think I'm giving up in any sense. I'll fight for every damn last vote. But I don't know how with some of the. I mean, do we just double down on the ones we didn't win enough of and say we're going to win more college-educated voters? We're going to win even more women. Is that the way we do it?
No, because I thought about this a lot last night.
Thank you, Jim Williams, by the way. Go ahead. Oh, after Kamala concedes, someone like Mark Elias needs to check this out. Just my 2 cents. I would agree with that.
I think Mark Elias has been checking it out since the polls opened. By the way, Mark Elias is not going to give up on this fight either, folks. Here's the thing about how we build a coalition, because really it's more about community maybe than coalition building. It's community building. Because communities can be really diverse. Coalitions sometimes can be diverse, but they're not maybe quite as diverse as communities, because communities kind of have like similar goals. They're like, I hate you and you hate me, but we really want a street here. I hate
you, right. You hate me.
Right, exactly.
Sorry.
But we don't want potholes in the street either. So why don't we like collect up some money and fill these potholes and make a decent street, even though we despise each other. Right, so that's kind of shit the community does.
Well, and talking about community, Malcolm's comment here. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Had a now former friend who told me she didn't want to vote and went clubbing instead. She got offended when I said Trump's win was on her. Listen, I'm going to have a real tough time right now, folks, because I got to have some hard conversations because I have a few friends and I'm not sure what they did, and I think it's pretty clear to them how I feel about these things. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say anybody, hey, F you. I mean, I could say that, but do I want to spend time with them anymore? I mean, if somebody could take a look at that and vote for that, is that somebody that I can respect? I mean, you have to ask yourself these questions. I mean, again, now I'm raising my boys in this. They both honestly looked like they're about to cry today. That's how upset they were. They pay attention. They're smart kids. They're well educated. They understand people are going to be hurt. Thank you, David Kittle, for the $9.99 super chat. Some of these groups that voted for fascism will soon find out they caught the car. Yes, they will. I mean, I think sadly, and again, I say this with no fuck them. I don't wish harm upon. I mean, yeah, I do wish harm upon a few people, but they tend to be people you've heard of. They aren't voters. They're the people that actually were voted for. And I won't say any of their names or anything because then I'll be visited by Secret Service members and such. So, but I mean, I say. Have
you seen that Mickey Rourke clip? Did I show you that yesterday? Where he's like, read my mind.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to go watch that. You have to go.
I'm going to say this with sadness, right? I have Latino and Latina friends. I have Muslim friends. If he puts this plan into action, those are the two groups. I'm sure he won't know the difference. And sadly, some Indians and other groups will get mixed up in there. Do you think Trump's the type of guy where they're going to be careful about this? Remember, their whole plan here, this is related to white replacement and everything else. Their plan is they want whites to remain a majority in this country. So really, any non-white you get out of here, you're being successful. John, $5. Will the Posse Comitatus Act protect us, or do we need to purchase more firearms? Jesus. Here's the thing, John. If it makes you feel better, I would say please keep your guns stored safely. I would tell you to please go to a range and learn how to use them. Maybe you already do know how to use them. Where do I have it? See? I used to shoot on a rifle squad. Here's my little NRA medal. It actually has NRA on it because they used to sponsor. It makes me sick now, so I keep it just to look at it. Sharpshooter. I knew how to use a gun. I used plenty, but I got to be honest with you. If the government comes to get you, your guns aren't going to help you. They, at this point, with heat-seeking missiles or a drone, can spot you in the exact part of your house you're in, and before you pull your gun, you will no longer exist. That's what the government can do. So keep that. I mean, in other words, keep that. It is bleak, but I would keep that in mind. I would keep that in mind. It's just you're not going to be saved by guns. I mean, unless you think it's a militia or some group that's going to attack your house or something. But if it's the government with government type technology and resources, no. I mean, it's not going to. Thanks for the super sticker, Alien Fan 1979. And that's, I mean, I brought that up because if people here don't know, again, sorry to get all philosophical again, but one of the biggest reasons I had such a problem, I mean, why it horrifies me the thought of bringing the military into the country, because that's what posse comitatus is. The military is not allowed to to engage on our soil, and that's for a very good reason. It never ends well. There have been certain emergency situations, right? Like it could be natural disaster where you could bring in military, whatever. That's it. Well, here's the deal. Have you ever heard of the phrase crossing the Rubicon? I bet you have. Yeah, well, that was the river that Julius Caesar crossed with the Roman troops, because Rome had a rule like that too, because Rome knew that if they brought their troops into Rome, it would fall. And that's exactly what happened, because it became a military state once he brought the troops in. So whatever we can do, you want somebody who's asking earlier about activism, what do we do to keep fighting? That is the biggest thing that we have to be out in the streets for, and sign petitions and talk to our elected officials and do a PR campaigns, marketing, go on social media, get your friends to speak out. But if the military comes into our cities, if you think about police shootings, multiply that by about 1,000. Think about if you're Muslim or Indian, whether they're going to know if you're here legally or not, if they're going to care if you're, a human or not. Like, that's when people start dying. Innocent people, lots of them. Last Life Crisis, thank you for the $20 super chat. This too shall pass, stay strong, my friends. I believe that. I really do believe we can get through this, and we'll get through this. It's really right now, again, I'm not going to say that I have no depression, and I'm not going to say it makes me question the country I live in. It makes me not proud at this moment to be American. I always felt like, the whole arc of justice line made sense. We did some horrible, horrific things to groups of people, many groups of people, but that we seemed to be always headed in a forward direction. And I question that now. And that really is a tough thing for me to question. But I do have to believe in some part of me that we will get through this.
I think we will too. I think we will too. I think it won't be the same America, unfortunately. And I have to get going. So I appreciate you letting me come on here and talk to you about these issues and stuff, and coming on the show and talking on my show. And the audience, I'm glad you have a place to come and listen and talk to like-minded people, because it's important, especially over the next few days, to really find what you're going to do and how you're going to use your voice to push back, so that we can at least stem the tide of second Trump regime. So,
I'll say quickly before you go, Tony, I just say there are a lot of ways we can stop bad things, and that's what we need to do. Go ahead, Tony.
Yep. Well, I was going to say thanks for having me, and we'll catch you later.
Absolutely.
Go to just type in the Tony Michaels podcast on YouTube and follow me there, or Google Tony Michaels.
Yes. Subscribe to everything this silly Polish Ozarkian does. He's talented.
Well, thank you very much.
He's a talented guy. No, seriously, thank you for.
Yep, we'll talk to you soon, Cliff, and audience, stay in there. Like I said, this shall too pass. It won't be the same America, but we'll get through this.
We will. What I worry about, folks, is we're going to become, and let me say quickly to Angela C. Phillips Mills, thank you for the $5 super chat. Had to advise a friend to have a durable power of attorney with his husband with regard to their health and their finances if Obergefell is overturned. Yeah, that was the case that came out of here, that came out of Cincinnati. And I hate to say it, but it's a legit worry at this point. That's a very, very legit worry, because I do believe that this Supreme Court will feel like, I think they want to do it. At least 5 of them, but likely 6 of them want to do it, overturn Obergefell. And I think this election is gonna. They've bristled at the criticism. Alito's like, why is nobody like me? Well, you're a dick, and you quote guys who defended marital rape in the 16th century to come up with your Dobbs decision. That could be why. Or maybe it's the free tickets you took for a flight to Rome and didn't report them, or a million other things. But they're going to be emboldened by this because they do sway to public pressure and they do feel what people say about them. And now they're going to think because Trump won, especially having it look like he won the popular vote right now, that they can do whatever they want. I think that I would advise any same-sex couples, if you're married, if you're gay, lesbian couples in this country, I would advise you to make sure that your health care, power of attorney, all life-ending measures, there's a lot of things that come with marriage and that contract. And I really would go out there and be sure that it's all taken care of, because if they strike that down suddenly, I can't even believe I'm saying this. That's the tough part, is I thought we were past this shit. I knew we had battles still to fight, a whole hell of a lot of them, but abortion rights, marriage equality, those are ones I thought we could put in the win column forever. Supreme Court is going to be so embroiled. Where did I see that? Saw something about the Supreme Court. So embroiled with this election. Look out, folks. William G. Atheist. Well, they don't even have to be, sadly, it looks like, unless we pull a rabbit out of a hat and votes come in we didn't expect and we gets really close, which case, yes, the Supreme Court, I think at this point would step in and do what they did in Florida and shut it down just because they want Trump. Will Putin be at the inauguration? Jay Rico. I would say 50-50. Maybe he'll have like a big mustache on and dark sunglasses. Try to dress up like somebody. Big wig. He'll come dressed like Rick James, probably. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Megyn Kelly. She advises people how to dress in blackface. And she's a fan of that, from what I remember. I'm ashamed of women that voted against themselves. Sandra Lowe. Yes, I understand that, because I'm angry at white men. I'm angry at Jews. I'm angry at Jewish men. I'm angry at Midwesterners. I'm angry at Ohioans. I'm angry at, even though it was a small percentage, maybe 20% or whatever, of Cincinnatians that voted for these scumbags. Ashamed of some family members and probably friends. What else you got, guys? And I don't want this to be all sad. Again, like, man, we've been at this low point before. 2016 felt like the world was over. We rebounded and we won the next, 5 elections? Cycles, 6, 7, 8? Seriously. I'm not sure there's an election cycle we've lost until now after 2016. Trump has a way of overreaching, even with his animal magnetism, whatever that shit is that people fall for, and offending people and turning people against him and turning people against the people around him. So unless we've witnessed some permanent change, he will find a way to erode that coalition. So who's that? John? No. Where is that? I don't know. I lost somebody saying F their family. Look, everybody's got to make decisions on that. Family, friends, what to do. Hope Peterson. Hope. Yeah, I get it. It's felt like we've never been at this low point before. But 1860, when Lincoln was elected and South fired in Fort Sumter, was a pretty low point. A lot of Americans died in the Civil War. Pearl Harbor was a pretty low point, and we had to go and fight a war and lost 400,000 Americans? More? I don't remember, something like that. So I don't know if we've ever been at as low a point where I felt like we've done it to ourselves, although we didn't fully. Russia was involved, and maybe if we accept that cyber war is the new war, we did have somebody commit an act of war, much like the South did in the Civil War, or much like the Nazis did in World War II. There was an act of war committed here. But, yes, it is a very low point. I'm not trying to say that oh my God, this isn't terrible. It is. But I'm just saying, we've been here before, and somehow we got through this, right? Before. And it's just sad that we did this to ourselves. All the dictators are celebrating Kathy Tullifson. Yeah, Oh, that whole club of dictators, they've got a new member. They're excited. They probably already have his seat polished, although I'm sure they'll put a towel down when he poops himself like Fox and Friends did. But Putin at the head of the table, Orban, Erdogan, Bibi. What am I missing? There's some other ones out there. A few of them got voted out, like in Poland. So that was good. But there are ones I'm missing, right? Belarus, parts of Asia. Oh, of course, the Chinese ruling families. North Korea, he'll be there with his cool flat top. Mitch McConnell's one to blame for putting this bastard in. He's one of them. He sure is. He apparently was deciding between voting to convict, and had he done that, Trump could never have run again. But McConnell is absolutely one of the absolute worst bad guys in this story. But I honestly believe Merrick Garland is too. I think our media is too. And I think other Republicans who initially criticized the hell out of Donald Trump, Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, some of the ones that became, like Marco Rubio became his biggest defenders eventually, pathetic, spineless fucks. They were the ones who called him out initially and said that he was a con man. He destroyed things. And so there's a lot of blame to go around. Well, the dictators are meeting in the Oval Office for a celebration, and the fix will report it like it's normal. Yes, that actually is true, because that's what our media does. I mean, you saw last night, and the only one I would watch at all anytime last night was ABC, because they did such a good job with the debate in calling out BS. I thought they had earned my watching them of everybody. And but even there, like this was reported on like a normal election. And if you saw any other coverage, it was like, well, Donald Trump is ahead. Blah, blah, blah. It wasn't America's in danger. There's a fascist winning right now. No, we won't do that, because that's showing that you actually believe something. That's telling the truth. Media doesn't do that anymore. Didn't you check? They're not in that business. They're in the business of clicks and ad revenue. Publishers who own and owners who own other businesses. So if you're Jeff Bezos, well, God, I mean, you wouldn't want to endanger Amazon, because that's your priority, not the Washington Post. You may have seen his ass-kissing email or tweet congratulating Trump. It made me want to hurl. Black women didn't vote for him. No, they didn't. Black women are always the best, frankly. You guys are awesome. You guys are always the smartest when it comes to voting. And some of us appreciate your saving us on numerous occasions, even though we can't seem to hold it and save ourselves. I will say overall, whatever, but at least the group that I guess I most officially belong to, well, the men part, we suck. And I've been going off on them the whole show. I think men are a big problem, young men, and we need to figure out. The part of my Jewish ethnicity, well, about 70 or whatever it was % voted against Trump. So better than most groups. If far from perfect. I don't know what the other 30% were doing, except for being really stupid. Was this the secret Trump had with Moses? Could be. And by Moses, I know you mean the current speaker, the little weirdo who monitors his son's porn and is likely visits certain clubs late at night in DC. Yeah, that guy. God, these guys are so fucking weird, all of them. That's the thing. It's like a collection, like a gang of creepy weirdos, right? Of creepers. Gross. Let me get to that one. Girl. The White House now gives Sarah Huckabee a going away party. Yes. Well, actually, that is really important, because they considered her normal and Trump normal. To give her a party after she insulted them. Like, I do ask myself, do these people have any pride at all? Any? Like, she insulted them. She lied to them constantly. Did fraud happen? We do not know yet. If you mean the Republican kind of fraud, if you mean the Democratic stuff they make up, no. That never happens. If you mean, like, do we know if Putin pulled something off? I have no evidence of that, so I can't say that it did happen. I can only say that the disparity in some cases between votes for Democratic Senate candidates and Trump and Kamala seems rather large, and I can only say that 18 million fewer votes seems rather large, although we are still counting California. But yeah, I have zero evidence of anything, and it may really just be in the end that we fucked ourselves. That groups of people, particularly it seems more Latino males, more young white men, more Muslims, probably some other groups I'm missing, bought Donald Trump's pitch more than before. Doesn't mean we blame whole groups. I'm just giving you the demographics of where he gained. 70% of Muslims did the right thing. I don't know what the number of Latino males is. I think Trump won by 10 points, but that means there were a whole lot of Latino males that did the right thing too. Elon will be in charge of U.S. finances. I hope not, because Elon and his oligarchy they have a little plan, guys. You probably know about. They have a little weird post-apartheid cult. Him and Thiel and Sachs and all of them, and that plan is they're all bought in. Trump's bought in now to Bitcoin. They want to sink the dollar, which will put us into a depression, likely tariffs, and will kill us, and then. Stopping immigrants from coming in will make corporations have to hire more expensive workers. Guess who they'll pass that on to? Yeah, they're not going to take the loss. They'll pass that on to us. And then there'll be tariffs. Guess they're going to pass that on to? That tax on them to us. So everything will get much more expensive while the dollar crashes and becomes less valuable. I don't know about you, but that seems bad to me. That feels like a bad way to go, and sounds familiar to the Great Depression, which, if you remember back, some of that started with a big failure in speculation in housing in Florida, which makes me ask all these morons in Florida who voted for MAGA and cannot get insurance for their homes and were dumb enough to put a lot of their money into their homes. That's a lot of their net worth. What happens when those homes are completely fucking worthless? They lose purchasing power. We've got tariffs. Prices are going up. They can't buy anything. Spreads to other parts of the country. There's a panic. Wall Street. God, I hope none of this happens, but it has before. Boycott corporate media and support the independents. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Gayla Austin said that for a while. Philadelphia Inquirer, folks, is not actually owned by a corporation. It's owned by a foundation that is liberal, so you want to read that one instead of the New York Times and Washington Post. And then otherwise, here I am. Hal Sparks is out there. You heard Tony talking about Tony Michaels is out there. A lot of other folks are out there too. I mean, we're going to try to give you truth. I'm going to try to make you laugh a little bit. Very difficult today. While giving you some truth, I'm going to try to entertain you. I'm not going to lie to you. That I will not do. Even if it's really bad. And I will screw up because I thought I knew what was going to happen last night, but I won't do it on purpose. Support Cliff on Patreon. Jim Williams, thank you, my friend. Please join. I think I may make a special video probably today or tomorrow just for members. I can talk to you guys about some more things. Joey McKillick, always watch independent media. Absolutely. So as you guys know, if you're watching here anywhere, you can subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please do that. It is at Cliffs_Edge. On YouTube. You can join as a YouTube member. It says membership right there on that page. You can join Patreon. I have it up here with Jim Williams. You can give a super chat and make this a more doable enterprise for me. I'm trying to add more and more of these live streams. I actually really, as I've said before, love them. I like talking to folks and seeing how you're doing. And this is a moment of like therapy for all of us where we need to have each other, right? So I'm still going to make a couple of my 5-minute videos that are kind of produced every week, at least a few of those that hopefully are funnier, and a lot more shorts where I'm just going to give you my takes looking at the camera. I've been doing probably 1 or 2 a day, and I'm going to try to add to that even. Let's see. What else we got? Epigirl, as I've said before, if you want to come to Canada, I will meet you at the border and help you find somewhere to stay. May take you up on that. May take you up on that. I do have a friend who spent after Trump was elected the first time, spent a number of years, she and her husband getting their Canadian citizenship because they worried it could happen again. And I think they got it a year or 2 ago. And they're all set now, sadly. Sadly, they, they would have been happy to live between both places. Hey, yeah, I'm on Threads. Thanks, Jim. So if you're on Threads, follow me there. Yeah, maybe that would have been the smart idea right after he was elected that first time to start working on getting that dual citizenship, or hell, just becoming a Canadian citizen, right? They got good people. John Candy, he was Canadian. Ryan Reynolds, good dude. Brian Adams, great songs. Come on. Dan Aykroyd. See, there are a lot of good Canadians, as you know. I live in Florida. Women's healthcare on the ballot came so unbelievably close that even I was surprised. Yeah, well, it won in Florida. They just cheat like they always do. They made it a 60% threshold. They tried to do that here, and we were able to vote it down. If we hadn't been able to do that, I think we got 57, 58% of the vote to make this a pro-choice state. That's what Florida got. But when Republicans can't win with 50, they move to 60. Suddenly there's a filibuster. Suddenly you need 60% on state ballot measures for an amendment. They cheat. They're lying motherfuckers. It's what they do best. I put this up because I really appreciate this, Maria Warner. Thank you, Cliff. I have less tears now. Well, that was one of the reasons of doing this today, because, I didn't want to get out of bed. Again, therapy, group therapy, and figuring it out together, guys, right? Because nobody has all the ideas in the world. And, we will, I believe, have future elections. Trump may try to stop that, but I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of folks who would resist that pretty strongly in this country. And I don't think I think he's too lazy for some of the things he would do anyhow. So I do actually think we can get through this moment. We can be done with Donald Trump. We can elect more Democrats in 2 years. We can respond right away. There's going to be a governor's race in Virginia next year. Glenn Youngkin, I think you can only run for one term, so that asshole is going to be out. If the first thing we do after Trump wins is we did that, 8 years ago, is replace the Republican with a Democrat. I don't know if we replaced a Republican, but elect a Democrat. In this case, replace that idiot with Abigail Spanberger, great former House member. That would be awesome. We could do that. New York City mayor, or that corrupt Eric Adams, taking money from, what was it, Egypt, Turkey, same kind of thing as, Republicans like Trump and Menendez, Democrat in that case, but plenty of Republicans. Well, we can elect like a progressive, strong, awesome New York mayor next year. And that's a pretty important position in this country because there are many millions of people there. It's a pretty diverse area. And there's a few other governor's races and other things that are be on the ballot. What can be down now? Can Biden do anything? Well, that is a good question. The problem is we always, again, follow everything to the, they gave him immunity. Theoretically, you could kick a couple people off the Supreme Court and put new ones on. I don't know. I don't know what Biden will do. Biden still has plenty of power for executive orders until they swear in a new Congress. We have this one. The problem is that obviously the Republicans have the House. But I would tell you this: they only need the Senate for judges. So I put every last damn judge on right now. If there are any treaties you want to sign with foreign countries, you only need the Senate for that too. Now, everything you can do with just the Senate, do right now. Can Biden put in some things to protect us? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe just go ahead and hire some of the people that hate Trump the most, put them in key positions. Make Trump get rid of them. Make Milley the national security advisor. Bring in John Kelly right away. Stuff like that. I think I'd do that. I would go, yeah, Cynthia Donegan. Love that. Great Irish last name, by the way. Go Dark Brandon. This is a Dark Brandon fucking kind of moment. I would say just do it, man. Do it. With what's coming up, I don't see where we have anything to lose, man. Alito and Thomas wants to retire. I know. That's the worst, is that Alito and Thomas are getting up there. They're actually Trump's age when most old people go away, but don't come back. And And I don't know, but he's going to get to replace them now. Jesus, UCSB, Trump is a felon. I wanted to put that up there because I want to remind people he is a felon. And if I were to criticize anything, and I don't want this to sound like hindsight, because I think Kamala Harris ran one of the best campaigns I've seen. I don't know what happened with the turnout. I don't know what happened with some of these things, but at least in their messaging, the part I know about campaigns, they were great in terms of controlling the narrative, responding to attacks, that kind of thing. I do think I wish they'd continued with what she said during the debate. I do think every time she got up, she should have reminded people that he was a felon and an adjudicated rapist, and was in Putin's pocket. How could anybody vote for someone like that? I do kind of feel like she should have started everything with that and then gone on to everything else. But she did so many things right that I don't know if that would have made the difference in the end. But it's going to be interesting because he's a felon, and there are countries that don't allow their leaders to meet with felons. So he's going to have to send that sack of potatoes, that personality, that sort of explosion of personality, the couch lover himself, the donut ordering man, JD Vance. I'm sure they'll love meeting with that guy because he's fun, that guy, gotta tell you. Sorry, guys, I'm pissed, Frank Starler. You should be pissed, Frank. I'm pissed. I'm sad. I'm annoyed. I've sat here and told you, first time in my life, there have been times where I've been embarrassed and to be American and whatever, but first time in my life, I actually don't feel like I'm American at this moment, because apparently if a majority can vote for that, I'm not them. So maybe I'm not meant to be here. I don't know. But that's how I feel. And to the people that went and looked at everything this horrific man did and voted for him, fucking pissed as hell. So, you don't have to say sorry, Frank. You're in the right place. We're all going to have to process this how we process this. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Trump will change America to Trump's America. Who said that? That's the thing I worry about. Because his whole act, the gaucheness, the grossness, the just gaudy, cheap, sort of violent, obnoxious, stupid, ignorant. I'm not just saying these as insults. These are all things, as he literally is and is proud of. I think that we're going to become that. We're becoming, there's idiocracy, if you want to say that, but trash America is what we should be called. White trash America. And that's what we're heading towards. Lauren Boebert, who has like 47 kids, but is out, giving a guy a handy at Beetlejuice, leaving her husband and whatever. Like, that's the female equivalent of Donald Trump. Like, that's the America we apparently are now, if a majority end up voting for this guy. And I don't know how I accept that. Another one from, did I miss this before? Oh, no, just now. Jesus, UCSB. As a Latino and U.S. Army veteran, it makes me sick that so many Latinos chose to spit in the face of their ancestors that faced abuse from Trump. But you can't give up. Thank you for saying that. And if it's Jesus, I apologize. I didn't know you were Latino, so I read it as Jesus. If it's Jesus, I get you, Jesus. And I'm glad you're out there saying that. Because I have seen some people sort of say, oh, well, this is what Latinos voted for. Screw them. Guys, remember, there are a lot of, every group we're talking about is filled with a lot of people. And you can be pissed, and you should be pissed, but don't take it out on Jesus is a fantastic guy, obviously. He's a veteran. He served us, risked his life for us. So he's Latino and male, all right? He's not like a lot of the other folks, a majority, sadly, who seem to have voted for Trump. We should view every group like that. We don't want to start blaming whole groups. You know what happens when we do that? We become them. So don't do that. I'm pissed that I don't know why certain groups switched over and in the large numbers they did. I do know why in some cases, and it really sickens me, that not just that they did it, but we really do have to keep this all in context. It took a village to fuck this up, to paraphrase in a bad way something Hillary Clinton said. And, we did. There are a lot of groups that moved towards Trump. There are a lot of people that didn't turn out and vote. There are a lot of things wrong here. A lot of Democrats in the Justice Department, other places, who didn't pursue people in the manner in which they should, or didn't pursue certain military traitors in the way they should have, or didn't, like, that were weak, or were trying to be nice and thought you could be nice to bullies, as if you could ever fucking appease a bully, which is what I said in not such a nice way to Jeff Bezos this morning with his ass kissing little, congratulations of Trump on Twitter. Like, he knows what you've done in the past. You think because the Washington Post didn't endorse this time and you're congratulating him, he's going to forget that you opposed him in the past and that that you did things, he said things about him, your paper that he didn't like? Are you kidding me? This guy, this petty, vindictive little creep who never forgets anything, is the most insecure person alive. You don't think he's coming for you, Bezos? He'll get around to you. There may be others he goes after first. There may not. But if he chooses to go in that direction, you can apologize all you want. He hates you because you're better than him financially. That's the way he views it. Whoever has more money is better. That's his simplistic view of the world. So he's coming for you if he thinks he can take your money. And if there's something to stop him, and time will tell. Alex Snell, new member. Thank you, Alex, so much again. Folks, make sure to join, become members here or at Patreon, give you some of the extra stuff and things, and help me keep doing this. Please let me take out the trolls. Yeah, whoever the trolls are here, I know that some of our moderators are here. I've seen one or two of them. Can you remove them? Am I not doing something? Have I not hit some button to allow you to? But trolls are annoying, and they're really usually pretty stupid. And if you read any sort of write-up on trolls, any of the sort of psychological write-ups, like huge percentage of them are losers sitting alone. Nobody loves them. Yeah, you guys get to hear this about you. Completely pathetic, right? They're usually have some sort of a disorder, social personality disorder, or sociopathy or narcissism. They self-loathe, they hate themselves, they're losers. And they show up somewhere here because it makes them feel good to attack other people. It's the only thing, like Trump, that can make them feel good inside, because they're empty. So just remember that. But also kick them the fuck out of here. So the mods here, unless there's something I'm missing, kick their asses out. I think we are moving slowly towards our end here. Today, is my question one. Tomorrow will be a longer one. We'll have a guest on. Sending a hug, Cliff. Thank you, PC Camp. You're awesome. There will be controls on weapons. That's ironic. Sorry, I hit the wrong thing, but that's an interesting point. Thank you so much. I'm sending you all hugs, and you should send each other hugs and be there. What's really awesome is hugs from kids and spouses and friends and pets. Oh, my little kitties helped me so much through her last night. Our little guy, Steve, he's not as little anymore. I'll have to show you guys some pictures. He was this adorable little thing like 2.5 years ago. This high-pitched meow. He still has this high-pitched meow, but he's like 15 pounds now because he eats everything. But he's so cuddly and so friendly. He can make you, having him lie on your chest and start purring is just the most soothing thing in the world. You guys are awesome. You're the ones here right now, right? You're out here, you're talking, we're talking to each other. Thank you for this, Joni, for this kind, I got the wrong one. SP 500 has never been higher. Yeah, wait. You're awesome, Cliff. Thanks for all you do. And the truth is that I really appreciate that, but this is the way I was constructed. So I can't sit around and watch like a massive injustice and not at least try. Maybe I fail. Sometimes I'm successful, but I will fucking fight these fights because I hate bullies, hate them, loathe them, despise them for the people they are, for the people they hurt. So I'm not going anywhere. I will be here more, if anything, now. To show that the emperor has no clothes, although I'd like Trump to keep on clothes because that's a horrid sight. and Democrats have to fix it. We do. We're look, guys. There will be ways. There are legislative tricks that some of our folks may know. There are states that have control that are going to have to pass further legislation to help people. There will be off-year elections. I'm sure there'll be some special elections coming up soon. We have next year's elections, which I talked about, some big governor's races, mayor's races. LA have the mayor's race too. I think in some big cities, in a couple states, big states, like, we got to do what we got to do. I think I'll end on this. Look, AZ Blue Dot in 196 said, "Oh, Cliff, America is lost." Again, I'm telling you right now that I am not proud of being an American. I think we just had one of the worst days in our history, or nights, whatever you want to call it. But I can't, I can't accept that something's lost. I just can't. I won't. So I'm going to keep doing what I can do. And even if the majority of America is somehow lost, like even if this was representative, there are people in your community who are homeless. There are people in your community with mental health issues. There are people in your community with physical disabilities. There are people you can help everywhere. I mean, some's on the macro level. There's a hell of a lot you can do on a micro level. People in your life, right? I mean, like, find the good. It's out there. Find people that are supportive, find people you can support. One hug, one, smile, one thank you, one whatever can make somebody's day. So think about, and I'd say right now, really, because it's times like now when times like depressed, that dangerous things, people can have dangerous thoughts. If you have friends who obviously are thinking very negative thoughts, please check in on them. And if any of you in there are thinking negative thoughts, please check in on us. Okay? Like, I shouldn't have said it that way. Check in with us. Let us know. Okay? Because everyone needs to be taken care of. We're all part of the common good. That's what a democracy is. That's what Republicans will never fucking understand. Right? Is that, yes, we all have individuality. Yes, we make our own choices. Yes, it's a capitalist society, which I believe in. Well-regulated, which we're not, but regulated so you can start your own business, as I have, and all that. But you know what? Like, we also are a community. We also are, I believe in the common good. We do things so that we give up certain things for the betterment of all of us. Right? So think about that in your community. Think about that with your family. Think about that with your friends. Like, be there for people who need you. And don't be scared to ask people to be there for you, because we all need that. So I think that's a good place to end this. Thank you so much. So Kamala's conceding at 4, I just saw. Okay, well, we're going to have to watch that. I'm not going to say anything more about that right now because we'll get into a whole conversation. Reverse corporate greed, yes. We should have broken up monopolies while we had the chance to do it. We should have gotten a billionaire's tax in there. Nobody should have the money Elon Musk has. It is a danger to democracy. It has proven itself again and again and again and again. I think the Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis back in the day said, famously said, you can either have a democracy or great disparity in wealth. You can't have both. We're proving that. We didn't do enough to rein in these guys. But it doesn't mean, remember, our history has ebbed and flowed, and the left has been in very high points, where we seem to be headed in an inevitable direction at times in the 60s and 70s, and boom, conservatism came along, and then boom, we came back, and won things with Obama. And so don't give up. Hang in there. America is not lost. America is a little bit of a lost puppy right now. It's made a lot of mistakes, and it's up to us to do what we can to bring it back, for it to find its moral bearing. And we can start again. You can do big stuff nationally, and you should. E.T. Cliff, thank you. Your clothing less. Donald joke was the first laugh I've had since 7 p.m. last night. Thanks. See, thank you for that. You don't know. See, just saying that, you don't know how good that makes me feel. Because E.T., you were somebody who is suffering. And I try to joke when I can, and it's not easy right now. But I said something, and it made you feel better. And that makes me feel better, because I'm a human and I like to make other people feel better. I'm not a sociopath like the Republicans have been talking about. So you know what? Like, guys, just saying something nice, like saying something funny, being nice. We're going to fight all these fights. We've won them before. We've won a lot of things. And If I don't leave now, I probably never will. So listen, thank you. You guys are awesome. Keep fighting the fight. I will be back here at 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'll probably go on Tony's for about channel, at the Tony Michaels. You should go over there and subscribe to him if you haven't. I'll go over. I'll probably go on just for my usual 15-minute quick hit to remind you I'm coming on, talk about a few things, and then I will be here at 2. We're going to do the longer one. I'm thinking about a few people. I'm going to get a really good guest who will be able to hopefully explain a lot of things and help us understand what we just went through and find the best ways to fight back, to win battles, and move on. So you guys are awesome wherever you are. Have a fantastic, fantastic day. The best day that you possibly can under the circumstances. Love you all. Don't give up, man. And woman, because we're not done yet. Because, I guess it's Tony's little line to say fuck them at the end. So I don't want to, or is that Surf's Up? I guess it's fuck them at other times. But honestly, fuck them. We're not letting them win. We're not letting the bad people win. Trump 2028. Yeah. Bite my left one, my friend. Okay. Take care, guys. I will see you soon.